Hello and welcome to the AG10 Podcast. To celebrate Agency Guacamole's 10-year anniversary, we're sitting down with 10 industry leaders to talk about business, life, and everything in between. I'm your host, Bilal Kaiser, founder and principal at Agency Guacamole. Today's guest is Castillo Bataille, a Los Angeles-based celebrity hairstylist, educator, and content creator with more than a decade of experience in the beauty industry. His work spans editorial shoots, red carpet events, national campaigns, and creative partnerships with some of the industry's leading brands. Holding both cosmetology and barbering licenses, Castillo also serves as an ambassador for L'Oreal Professionnel and Matrix, and fun fact, both brands are Agency Guacamole clients. Known for blending technical expertise with a strong creative point of view, Castillo has built a career at the intersection of professional artistry, education, and digital influence. Whether he's behind the chair, on set, or creating content for his nearly 500,000 followers, which we'll talk about today, he brings an authentic perspective that resonates with both beauty professionals and consumers alike. Beyond styling, Castillo is passionate about educating and helping inspire the next generation of artists through approachable tutorials, industry insights, and a modern take on beauty, fashion, and lifestyle. Hi, Castillo. It's so nice to see you.
Bilal, that was so beautiful. Can I use that for my bio? My goodness.
Get out of here.
I love you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. So you and I officially met at the AG10 party in New York City earlier this year, but we've known about each other for years. I've certainly known about you and all the incredible work you've done on behalf of our brands and how much the brands love working with you. I'd love to start off by hearing about your career journey. Tell us a little about yourself. You built an incredible career as a celebrity hairstylist, artist, and educator, working with some of the biggest names in entertainment. Tell me where it all began.
Well, Bilal, I thought you'd never ask. I wish this could be a very easy explanation, but it's not. Unfortunately, I was born into a family that did not have any fashion designers or hairstylists that I knew of. So it was a long journey to finding hair, I must say. But the journey itself did help me get there. I've always loved design. I've always loved fashion, and I always loved the art of transformation. So taking one thing and transforming it to another was my way of expressing my artistry and my creativity. Like I said, I was born into a maybe homophobic type of family. And so anything that was like feminine was kind of tough. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and my mom and dad at the time did not approve of anything feminine. So when I first got the hint of liking to do hair, I got scolded, and it wasn't anything that I was encouraged to do. So it was tough. I had to find ways to kind of tap into that queen of my own, but it didn't even happen up until, maybe my mid 20s or early 20s that I really got to find that feminine side of me and develop it. Well, like I said, the journey was great though. I had friends and girlfriends in high school and elementary school that I got to play with their hair and even play with their Barbies. And I got to see what that was all like, but I never got to do hands-on. And I wish I was that person that said that, I was in my mom's salon and I was sweeping up hair, but I couldn't. And I did in fact get to go to school for fashion and design and merchandising. But even in that cross corner, I was a little bit concerned and worried that I wouldn't get the approval of my parents. So I went with visual communications when I did want to go with fashion design, but that really helped me develop my mind. And whether it was designing a room, a window display, or putting together something of a presentation, it allowed me to close my mind, close my eyes, and actually imagine something that was worth explaining or selling or sharing. So it prepared me to really hone my creativity. And when I got the opportunity to play with hair and assist in my mid 20s, I already had the chance of seeing something from its start to finish. And I think that's the beauty in doing hair, is seeing something at its beginning stages and knowing what its possibilities are. Being able to do that and connect with people that also liked hair made it easy for me. And being able to be accepted in a world by people that needed to look beautiful was something that I felt like I belonged to, like a community. It was my own kind of community. I finally felt needed. I felt like it was something that I thought about in my sleep. It was almost like a gift that I was able to give myself as soon as I finished doing what was expected of me. Was the gift of going to school for hair and being able to tap into that more gentler side of who Castillo is.
I love that. What an interesting road our journey takes, especially, growing up in a household where you weren't sure what you do now was even a career that would pay,
Yeah.
let alone be accepted by your family. So kudos to you for believing in your truth there. You've talked about fashion, fashion merchandising, design, and obviously hair. Was there something about hair in particular that you were really attracted to? Like, why hair? Why not makeup?
Correct. Hair for me was something that, like I said, I was able to develop the passion with the doors closed. I was in the bathroom, I could play with my hair. If I was hanging out with my cousin, I could braid her hair while she was asleep. Makeup was harder for me to grab. I remember makeup for me was something that I saw in the magazines and on TV and in music videos, which I loved. But makeup for me was in a box, a plastic box that had a Chanel logo on it that was off limits. And it was the thing that my mom grabbed and sat in front of the mirror every morning and opened up. I could never go in there. My mom was not the one that was like, "Come here, sweetie. Let me show you how to put on mascara." But I'll tell you this much: when I was in middle school, I had girls come up to me and want to touch my eyelashes because they thought I was wearing mascara. So, like I said, it was hard. I was fighting a lot of internal demons, and even to this day, I'm still slowly learning as a student how to apply makeup and how to wear it, and the benefits of a translucent powder
Sure, sure.
and
Wow,
things like that. So I don't necessarily go against the grain of what's coming towards me. I learn about what's being presented to me and how I could better that.
got it. I mean, I will say you chose an incredible industry to be a part of. Hair continues to evolve exponentially, as I'm sure you've seen over the last few years, certainly post COVID. And fun fact, you mentioned you wish you had worked at a salon, like sweeping up hair or whatnot. Well, that was actually one of my first jobs, working at a hair salon,
Ah,
sweeping
how
up
dare you?
hair or whatever, or restocking the shelves, which now I look back, I'm like, some of the brands that would be in front of me at that stage in my life is like, we're like 16, 17 years, so it's been a while. Are now brands that I get to, work with on the agency side, which is fun for me to reflect on. But bringing it back to you, so hair as a category, as an industry, is so dynamic and has, changed significantly. Do you have any reflections on how the pro hair world has is compared to when you first started? What changes have stood out to you?
Gosh, there's so many changes. I think I'm gonna age myself, but I came into the world of hair when Instagram barely started, and people were figuring out what was hitting. And unfortunately, the hair tutorials and fashion and things like that weren't really what was being pushed on social media. It was more of a YouTube thing. I think social media at that time was more about thirst traps and luxury life living. You know what I mean? I'll tell you this much: when I was in school, there was a lot of politics. Being a guy and a bit more butch, I didn't find my femininity yet. I naturally went into the barber world and I learned what I could in there. But I'll tell you, it was not easy. It was a very masculine environment. I was shaved head and I just was very butch and I wanted to learn what I could do. I was going to school in downtown. I was working on the homeless people and people that needed help. It was part of the school program. And so I got to learn about a lot of things and a lot of situations, and I also learned how to be amongst men that were at their prime age of like talking shit to each other and being those kind of people. Other than that, my people that were looking out for me was the lady that ran the administrative office. There was videos that they showed us, but it was nothing that I can relate to. There was probably a bit of like a somewhat gay teacher that was there that kind of saw something in me, and I want to say that maybe he told my administrator something. She pulled me aside and without any of the guys, because they always kind of asked me for my input on certain things, or who's the rowdy one back there. They were always kind of like being a little nice to me, which was cool because they did see something in me, and it was great to be in a school where I could learn these kind of traits that I've been practicing on friends and things in high school.
Yeah.
And there was a point where, I didn't have a bank account and I was kind of selling these $20 men's haircuts out of a space in downtown, and it would work, and I didn't have any schooling and I wasn't doing it legally. And it was just a way for me to connect and offer a barter system, some kind of trade that I could, offer of myself, a service that I was kind of good at.
Yeah.
But being able to go to school and be seen by a teacher and told that I should go back to school for cosmetology as well, and that they would support me with that, whether it be financially, a scholarship, or just a recommendation letter, really told me that I should do this. And before I even could find my place, I was already kind of bored with the curriculum. There was nothing on videos, there was nothing in the books that made me want to learn about it. And nowadays, you can just put on your Instagram, you can put on TikTok, you can put on all these things. Find the person that captivates your visual, capacity and your mental ability to learn, and watch that person. If you don't like the way this person talks, if it's putting you to sleep, you just put in the hashtag of hair design or whatever it
Yeah.
is. You can learn so quickly
Yeah.
at home. I'm not really an extrovert. I am when it comes to work and things like that, and the more one-on-one, because it's just you and I right now. But it it allows you to see what it is you wanna do in life,
Yeah.
and for me, it's hair, and so being able to go on there, seeing how people are doing hair, I don't have to ask somebody to share it with me or ask for help. I just have to open the app and look for something, and whether it's YouTube or a video or a TikTok, I'm learning something, and whether it's doom scrolling or not, so it's a lot easier for us
Yep.
nowadays.
100%. I'm so happy you mentioned social media. I was going to ask my next question about that. Social has completely changed how stylists
Oh, it's
build their
everything.
careers. And you, I mean, kudos to you. You've created a strong presence both behind the chair and online. Do you mind sharing with us, like, what have you learned about building a personal brand while at the same time, which is so you, staying authentic to who you are as a creator, as an artist? How do you balance that? How do you build this
Yeah.
online world?
It's hard, you at first it's like you have work, hair's work, and then you have your personal life. But now with the social media, it's the combination of two. You can't
Yeah.
just wake up as a character every day and say, I'm gonna be this character, I'm not gonna fall out of it. And so for me, it didn't click at first. I did the thirst trap trail, and then I did the only clients
Uh-oh.
posting that, and then I started doing the aesthetic. Like I tried to figure it out, and I went through the self exploration online through everybody. And read all the comments and I take criticism really well. So what I learned the most that helped was being able to showcase something that I actually loved. And for me, that was hair. And then human connection. For
Yeah.
me, I love human connection and being able to get somebody out of a rut, or to glorify somebody in their best moment. And so I do find that doing that and showing things that I love, staying true to myself, and keeping it creative in my mind so that I actually do want to see it myself,
Yeah.
it helps. Being a part of it really helps.
Oh,
The more
100%.
that I'm detached from it, the less I feel like it has that je ne sais quoi, as you say.
I love that. On the agency side, when we're helping clients understand how to tell their story, we like to identify like what is important to you, what do you care about? And so for you, I don't know if you work with like a brand consultant or something, but you said exactly what I would want to explore for you, which is sharing what you love, which is hair, and then being creative while doing it, but also building that human connection. All of it being
Yeah.
intentional for you, which is so beautiful. And I'm sure, not I'm sure, I know this to be true. Your community really respects that about you and really connects with you on that. So, uh,
Thank you, Bilal. I've been
yeah,
enjoying the process and being able to show what it's like to be in my shoes
yeah. And
sometimes
then
behind the chair.
on the business side, brands love to see that. So that's why they come to you and hire you to do amazing work. So kudos to you there.
Thank you, Bilal.
Of course, because if I go back to your earlier comment about your journey, not just as a hair artist, but as a young gay person starting off, and maybe perhaps feeling uncomfortable in your home environment or what career you could follow, etc. I want to talk a little about representation, diversity in general. So one of the things that you've done as a creator is you build a reputation, you create beautiful work across a wide range of hair types and people and textures, while also educating the next generation of stylists. So, from your perspective, if you look at your journey and what you're doing now, do you mind sharing how do you feel the industry has evolved when it comes to inclusivity, education, representation?
I think it's come a long way. I do believe that the education has changed. And like I said, there's more educators in the industry coming forward and sharing what it is they think is important to know. Starting off in the beginning, it was very important to know how to stay clean, how to be able to produce curls and these very like minimal things. And now it's about working with different textures, working on different sets,
Yeah.
set etiquette, and different ways to show a style on different textures. So I think that by working in this industry and doing a lot of photo shoots and commercials and TV things like that, the cast has changed. It's become full of different flavors of people. And being a hairstylist like myself that didn't say no in the beginning, I said yes. I had to learn on the spot. And sometimes it was with very well-known people, and like any other artist or student, you do something and you don't like the way it comes out, you go home and you learn and you practice until you get better. And so I made a lot of my mistakes in the beginning of my career. I said a lot of yeses to everything, but it allowed me to learn about all different types of people. I mean, I told you I worked with homeless people in school, but I also now work with amazing, like, normal people and wealthy people and celebrities and artists, and they all just want to be heard. I've learned.
I love that. I really respect wanting to show up and do a great job. And I imagine when you're working with celebrities or high end clients, there's a lot of pressure. I will say, when you work on sets and work with celebrities, it all looks really glamorous. And like you're just floating through the set, just sprinkling, hair dust, and people just look amazing and magical and glamorous in a minute. But I wonder if you could share, like, what is something about working in that world that maybe people don't know or people perhaps misunderstand?
Well, you're absolutely right, though. It is a very glamorous career and position to have on the glam team in any aspect. But there are many things that people don't understand that are important. And I think that I'm speaking on behalf of my assistants that are no longer with me. But I think that people forget that there's major preparation that goes into a creative job. I think a great way of explaining is an artist that paints doesn't paint everything the day of the gallery showing. There's weeks and
Oh,
preparation that goes
beautiful.
into it. So I feel like people forget that a hairstyle isn't just thought of on the spot all the time. It's prepared for. There's things that are made. I also don't think people understand that our job doesn't end once you finish the hairstyle. I'm on set sometimes for 14, 15 hours, really pushing my aura, my spirituality to be a consistent version of myself from the starting hour to the end. And I promise you, whenever I drink that energy drink, she's a little bit up and like hyper, but my downs can never go too down because I'm here to work. So people are counting on you. There's also traveling.
Yeah.
Everyone comes to you. You don't check into a salon and people, are coming by the hour. The traveling could be close, it could be far, it could be across the country. The call times. So you're thinking these people they take a meeting at 9, they take a meeting at 8 a.m., 6 a.m. You're there 2 hours prior to that, which means you're up 4 hours prior to get ready to pack your car and to drive to the location. There's all of that. So there's that, and then there's the idea of, did I do a good job? Am I going to get hired again? Did Halle Berry like me? Did Ruby Rose feel offended by me not bringing a certain thing that I forgot? Like, there's all that brain chatter, right? Then you want to be able to still be kind, still be polite, be presentable, be knowledgeable, still learn, have the newest products and the cleanest kit. That all goes into being allowed into that room of glamour and the sparkliness of that shoot day. It's days of convincing somebody that you belong in this space that is very private. You know what I mean? We're making magic happen. And to be yourself in a space like that, it does take a lot of work on yourself and technical. It's technical that gets you into the door, but it's your kindness and your patience and your consistency that will get you back in that room.
Oh,
I don't know if people see that.
they don't. I mean, people I think in the business or people who are like working really hard to get to your level, I think they see glimpses of that. I think a lot of people on the outside just see the finished product and think, oh my God, Castillo has the best job. He spends 4 seconds in front of someone and they look amazing, and that's that. I can somewhat relate to that. So, as part of Agency Guacamole's services, we do events and experiential. And oftentimes, what people will see on social will be that final image, that photo moment, those florals, whatever, glamorous, shiny things come out of the event. not seeing the weeks and months of preparation to your point, or even day of when you're literally on your knees. My team is like taping stuff on the
Yeah.
walls or worrying about something that was printed the wrong color, etc. But a lot of the work that we do has, unfortunately, that misunderstanding that it's always easier, it's always glamorous. So it's really
Oh,
nice
I'll
to hear
tell you
you say
this much right now. I've gotten coffee, I've done the sweeping, I'll
that.
still do it. If it's gonna mean my girl's gonna walk out and be there, I will tie her shoelace because I've done it before and I know how to do it. I'm never
Yeah.
too big for a job when it comes to getting the clientele,
Yes, I
and that's a big thing.
Yeah. You were talking a little about, as you were explaining, the grueling nature of your work, wanting to make sure you stay centered. You talked about your spirituality, you talked about your aura. I wonder if you could share a few thoughts on, knowing how incredibly demanding your career is. How do you stay grounded? How do you find balance between work, life, and everything else that's important to you?
I really listen to my gut and what I'm feeling. I started off with always saying yes to things, always wanting to be invited to every room and always wanting to be a part of it. But I've learned that listening to my gut and knowing when to disconnect and actually knowing which rooms to walk into has really helped me stay grounded and in my lane. I don't compare myself to too much. I try to stick to the things that make me happy because I could do hair for 5 days straight and feel completely empty, be drained. I need to know what my tools are, and for me, my tools are being in a very clean home that's, like, quiet and has animals flying around. I have my dog Shadow. You know, I feel like in life, every time achievements come in, you're achieving things, things are great. I never get too excited because there's always grief and things that happen in that moment that I do acknowledge. Like, I'm a big empath, so I lost my best friend, my dog, a few months ago, and that brought me back down to reality. That grounded me and made me realize, like, you did it. You helped this dog through their life. You did work. You did all these things. Like, that's what's real. And there's accomplishments that come from getting through those things. So I like to be present to be able to understand those things and not constantly running. So I love to recharge in my room alone. Like I said, I thought our meeting was an hour ago and it wasn't. So I went and lay down and kind of just collected my brain because every minute is so planned out these days and everything is so scheduled. And in my world, I love my job, but everybody needs something, I find my peace at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. in the morning when I can respond to comments and really like tap into this silence because when the world wakes up at 9, I'm of service. And this is the job that I picked. And I'm gonna do a good job. And if not, I'm gonna pray that I do a better job tomorrow.
Oh, I felt that. That's beautiful. You're so connected to the work that you do, but you're also able to disconnect when needed. So, if anything, you could refuel and recharge. That's
I
beautiful.
have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Looking back at your career journey, you've done so much again, and you have so much to be proud of. Is there any one particular achievement you're especially proud of or give yourself kudos for?
I'm glad you asked me this now because before I would have been like, I don't really know. I really felt like being seen by L'Oreal Professional was the chapter in my story that really was like, stop being like imposter syndrome and realize that what you're doing is different and people like it. I was able to get an ambassadorship program with Matrix and Airlight Pro by L'Oreal, which are two L'Oreal brands. And I have tattoos on myself. Like I'm not like a normal looking person. And that's kind of, I grew up thinking that I was scary looking. And I had a mom that wanted me to be a model and an actor, and it just never hit. And so to now to be asked to be somewhat of a representative of a brand and to be openly be posting myself in a video and being myself and showing how I use these things is such an honor. It's so cool to reach people uh while you're sleeping, in a video or something like that. You don't even know who you're affecting. And then you wake up and realize that you're inspiring so many people that may look like you or may think you look like Richard Ramirez. I don't know, but they're watching and they're learning.
Um, Castillo, that was beautiful. I'm going to share that with our team that works on those brands here, as well as with the client team. That's I'm just so happy that you feel that way about yourself because you should. You are making a
Thank
huge
you.
impact on people. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if people who are listening to this or people who follow you on social look up to you and want to follow in your career footsteps one day. And in that vein, what would be like a piece of advice you would give to them, or what would be a negative wisdom you'd want to impart on someone who's like a version of Castillo 10, 20 years ago?
What I find is really important is one, own your craft and always practice on that, but also learn how to be able to present the best version of yourself.
Hmm.
And know that as good as you are with your work, you should also be as good as you are with your words and the way you are in a room and the way you are around people because they go hand in hand. I think the industry has changed and it's for the better. There's no longer that toxic masculinity or that demanding boss-like approach to the world. There's no more what is it? The devil wears Prada. You know, she's got to hang her own jacket now. It's crazy. So you really need to learn how to deal with all types of clients and to just be I'm a kind person, and I believe that that's what's gotten me this far, and kind people have bad days and good days, but people always remember the feeling they had when they left your chair or your environment. Sometimes people come back to my chair, and I'm like, "I really didn't think I did a good job," and she goes, "You made me feel so good. It didn't even matter." So there's that, you
Yeah.
know?
And there's so much to that because people, at the end of the day, in any business context, people like to work with people they like,
Yeah, it's
right?
what separates you.
Yeah. And
It really is.
and I know we see a lot of the opposite of that in social, which can be which can be tough to watch, especially if you're coming from a place of kindness or empathy or wanting to do good work while also being nice.
Yeah. There's a lot that you see on social. There's not enough filters, but I think that's the best way to learn, right?
Yeah, totally. Because I feel like you and I could talk for 5 more hours, but we
I know.
do
Did we
have
get everything? I'm
I
like, I
know.
had so many other answers.
We do have one very important question to
Okay.
end this interview with. Are you ready for
Okay.
it?
I'm ready.
What's your favorite way to eat guacamole?
Mm. I love to eat guacamole. Very chunky,
Okay.
a bit of lime, some salt, and I like a little bit of fruitiness in there, as you could tell. So maybe some
Oh,
pomegranates in there,
what? That's delicious.
and then a toasty, salty tortilla chip.
Love that. Wait, what's the restaurant in LA? Is it Gracias Madre? Who does it with the pomegranate in it?
It's gracias madre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Oh, and they put
yeah.
cilantro in it too. People are
Yes.
just
Yeah.
dancing on top of it.
Yummy.
And if
Uh,
it can be made in front of me too, I think that's really nice.
now you're just bougie. Tableside guacamole, really?
No, I'll take no, it was
Another
not bougie.
requirement?
If you go to Florida Keys, there's a guy selling that and he'll make it in front of you and then put it in the avocado shell and serve it to you.
Okay.
Just like the and tomatoes and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah. How about you? How do you like your
You're too
guacamole?
fancy for us. Similarly, I like it chunky. I do have a pomegranate moment as well, but typically like a classic guacamole, not too chunky, not too smooth, and a little bit on the spicier end. A slight kick, not too much, just a slight kick.
Oh, like a little cayenne pepper or
Yeah,
something.
cayenne,
Hmm.
jalapeno, whatever. Yeah,
Okay, well we gotta do this in person.
I love it.
Gracias
Castillo,
madres.
yes, thank you for making time for us today. It was such a pleasure talking to you about your journey. Um, Congrats on all your success, and I'm sure we'll be talking more soon.
Thank you so much, Bilal. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be chosen to give some lessons.